Hello students, and welcome once again. In this video we are going to read and discuss the second poem, that is Fire and Ice, written by Robert Frost. Well, let us now begin with the introduction of the poem. Fire and Ice is a highly symbolic poem written by Robert Frost. This poem is a contemplation about how the world will end. The poet says that the fire of lusts and endless desires and ice of hatred among human beings will put this world to an end one day. Well, let us now have a quick introduction of the poet. Robert Frost was one of the most celebrated figures in American poetry. He was the author of numerous poetry collections, including New Hampshire, Henry Holt and Company in 1923. He was born in San Francisco in 1874. He lived and taught for many years in Massachusetts and Vermont. He died in Boston in 1963. Well, let us now read the poem once. Fire and Ice, written by Robert Frost. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction ice is also great and would suffice. We shall now begin with the explanation of the poem. Stanza 1. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. Now, this stanza expresses the deep and profound idea that the world would end in either of the two ways, that is, either by ice or fire. Some are of the opinion that someday the earth's core will get so heated up that it would lead to fire destroying the earth and its surface. On the other hand, some say that if the temperature goes down to such an extent that it makes life on earth impossible, it would have the same disastrous effect. Well, the poet then compares fire and ice with the destructive features of human emotions, desire and hatred. He says that from what he is conscious about, fiery desires, he would support the ones who would say that it would be fire. By saying so, he brings about the idea that human beings let their emotions rule them, and the outcome of unchecked desire is always chaos. Now, explanation of the stanza 2. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. This stanza expresses that by not taking too lightly the first option of fire, he considers if the world has to expire twice or to end twice, ice would be equally capable in ending it. He brings about a contrast between ice and hatred. The human capability of insensitivity and hatred has the potential for the core destruction, that is, the inner destruction. Though slow and steady, it has the same impact, same effect that desire has on us. Therefore, among the fire and the ice, the latter, that is the ice, would be just as good as fire to destroy the world. Now the summary of the poem. Fire and ice is an exceptionally compact poem written by Robert Frost. The theme of the poem is the venerable question, that is, the ancient question, that whether the world will end in fire or in ice. The poet confirms that any of the two options would accomplish its purpose pretty easily and comfortably. The poet shares the common belief that everything that exists will have its end one day. Some think that fire will cause the destruction of this world, while others believe that ice will be the cause of the end. Putting in terms of human emotions, the element of fire stands for passions, desires, and love. Uncontrollable or uncontrolled passions and desires can cause the end of the world. The poet has experienced or perhaps tasted both these emotions. It doesn't matter how the world will end. Even hate, born out of cold and icy or insensitive reason, is sufficient to cause the destruction and end of the world. And now the new words that we have come across in this poem. Desire means a strong feeling of wanting to have something. Favor means support or approval. Perish means to die. And suffice means to be sufficient. Well, we have only 4 words that is new in this poem. Well, let us now discuss the poetic device used in the poem. First of all, rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme of the poem is A, B, A in the first stanza, and in the second stanza it is B, C, B, C, B. The next literary device is assonance, which is the repetition of vowel sounds in same line. The repetition is at different places in different words. For example, the long sound of O in I hold with those who favor fire. The next literary device is alliteration, which is the repetition of a consonant sound at the start of 2 or more closely placed words. For example, the sound of F in favor fire and the sound of W in world will. The next is imagery. Imagery is used to make readers perceive things involving their 5 senses. For example, some say the world will end in fire, and to say that for destruction ice is also great. The next literary device is anaphora, the repetition of a word or expression at the start of 2 or more consecutive lines. For example, some say is repeated at the start of lines 1 and 2. The next one is personification, which is to give human qualities to inanimate objects. In this poem, fire and ice are capable of destruction, and thus the poet personifies fire and ice by giving them mind and power to destroy anything. Enjambment. The next one is enjambment, which is it is defined as the thought or clause that does not come to an end at a line break. Rather, it moves over to the next line. For example, from what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. Well, now we have some questions. Thinking about the text, these questions are from the textbook, and all these 3 questions needs to be done in the notebook. Number 1, there are many ideas about how the world will end. Do you think the world will end someday? Have you ever thought what would happen if the sun got so hot that it burst or grew colder and colder? Second, for Frost, what do fire and ice stand for? We have some ideas, and you have to select the right option. Greed, avarice, cruelty, lust, conflict, flurry, intolerance, rigidity, insensitivity, coldness, indifference, hatred. So we have to classify under fire and ice in this question. Number 3, what is the rhyme scheme of the poem and how does it help in bringing out the contrasting ideas of the poem? Well, I hope you have understood the poem and enjoyed it. So, let's transform our thoughts and make this world a better place to live in. With this, we come to an end of this video, of this poem. Thank you.